First question. In ACIM, Jesus talks about learning to listen to our inner guidance, which I guess they call the Holy Spirit. Can you give some tips on learning to hear this guidance?
Well, first of all, we don't hear it like we hear the voice in our head. We hear it more in our body as it lands, as a knowing, as an aha, as a light bulb going on, as a download. It's more of a chunk of knowing that comes into our awareness. So it doesn't land in our mind like the voice in our head, and we don't hear it in words. So that's one point I want to make, is that inner guidance is not the same thing as some wise thing you might hear in your mind. In fact, in order to hear our inner guidance, we need to move out of the mind and into our body and senses, because our body and senses are the doorway to the subtle realm, the intuitive realm, where we do receive this very subtle guidance as ahas and knowings and inspiration. So the mind, being involved with the voice in our head, that aspect of the mind, is going to take you out of that subtle realm where you do receive the intuitions. So the teachings that I've brought through from Jesus are all about moving out of the voice in your head into the present moment via your body and senses. And that allows you to receive the inner guidance that is coming our way. And if we're not present to the moment, but lost in thought, we're lost in a virtual reality of the past and the future, then we're going to miss that guidance. So all of these teachings about moving out of the voice in your head and detaching from the voice in your head, which is what meditation accomplishes, is for the purpose of living more and more as our true self. In other words, living in alignment with that inner guidance, kind of marching to that drummer instead of the egoic mind, the voice in our head, which is not a very nice drummer.
What I always point to is that the truth is whatever opens your heart and quiets your mind. That's sort of the measuring stick. And if something has the opposite effect, where it causes you to feel contracted and your mind gets very busy, then in a sense, it's like the kids' game where you say you're getting warmer or you're getting colder. When your heart opens, you're getting warmer. When your heart closes, you're getting colder. It is possible, I guess, sometimes that you'll hear something. Some people are more visual. You might see something. Sometimes you even get the kind of guidance that you need just from another person, or from reading something, seeing a sign on the highway. But what matters is that inner response. That's what lets you know how important, how meaningful, how relevant, how true that message is, however it kind of lands. And for different people, I think it's a little bit different, depending on if you're more auditory, more visual, more kinesthetic, where you just get a feeling, a gut feeling or something like that. Important thing is learning to discriminate when any kind of thought or message or something you read or something that Gina and myself says, whether it registers that way, whether it rings true, whether it seems there's a clarity, a resonant, a felt sense of solidity. More kinesthetic people will say, the truth hit me like a ton of bricks. Whereas an auditory person, oh, that rings true. And a more visual person will say, oh, I can see clearly now what I need to do. So, be open to all the different channels or sources of truth. And unfortunately, they can also be sources of things that are not so true or meaningful or relevant for you personally in that moment. Especially in this crazy information age with all of the sources of social media and artificial intelligence and on and on and on. It's nice to have a mechanism, a way of measuring how true something is.
And sometimes Spirit uses other people to deliver messages to us, doesn't it? When they speak something, it rings true, or it just as much as our own intuition might ring true. When our guides aren't able to reach us personally through our own intuition, sometimes they send along a messenger who just opens their mouth and says just what we needed to hear at that particular time. And I'm sure you've all had that experience.